Hi, I'm Becki McBride. I'm one of the occupational therapists at Anna Shaw, and I'm here with Ashley Lantz, the physical therapist, and we're going to talk about the power of play. We're going to talk about just what it looks like from a developmental standpoint. We're going to talk about some behavior or some of our favorite toys, and then we're just going to talk about what the meaning of play is. So why is play important? Why are we even talking about this today? Well, play is how children learn. It's how they experience the world. It's the way that they have fun. It's how they're creative. It encourages interactions, sharing, socialization. I always say, I'm an occupational therapist, so I always say that play is a child's occupation. It's their job. It's what they do. So we're going to talk about just really quickly some of the social stages of play. Unoccupied play, that's just when babies or infants use their arms and legs, just making random movements with no clear purpose, and that's the beginning of play. Next is solitary play. That's when children start to play alone and they don't really seem interested in others. Next, you go to onlooker play. This is typically toddlers. They start by watching others, but they're not playing with them. Next is parallel play, and that's where you'll see kids playing beside or near others. They're not interacting, but they are paying attention to their other friends. Associative play, that's typically preschoolers. That's when children start asking questions of each other. They have similar goals, but there's no set of rules. So for an example, you would have kids that are playing on playground equipment and they're all doing different things. The next one is cooperative play or social play. This is what you see in school age kids. They begin to share ideas and toys, and they're starting to follow established rules and guidelines. Next, we're going to talk about the types of play really quickly. Some of these you may have heard of. There's a lot of different kinds of play. Symbolic play, that's when kids use objects or actions to represent other objects. Actions like using a cardboard tube, like a telescope. Sociodramatic play is when children act out experiences, like when they're playing house. Creative play is just when children explore, try out new ideas, use their imagination. Social play, that's just any social situation where it's expected that everyone will follow the set rules, and that's like during a game. Communication play, that's using words, gestures, charades, telling jokes, play acting, things like that. Dramatic play is where children figure out roles to play, they'll act them out. Locomotor play is movement just for movement's sake, or just because it's fun. So that's when they're playing tag or chase, hide and seek, even climbing trees. Imaginative play, that's play where conventional rules do not apply. So that's when you are imagining that you're a bee or pretending that you have wings. Exploratory play, that's using senses of smell, touch, and even taste to explore and discover the texture and functions of things around them. And then object play is play which uses eye-hand movements or coordination, like using a paintbrush.
Hey, I'm Ashley. I'm the physical therapist here, and I'm going to be talking about the next few slides. So we wanted to start with kind of ways to incorporate play for different ages and some favorite toys that you can use during those ages. So big thing to remember, especially for the infants, these next few slides, is make sure that you're always supervising them, especially during free time on the floor. If they're on their belly, on their back, just make sure you're always paying attention to what they're doing. So for the 0 to 3 months, ways to play, tummy time is a big one, starting that from the very beginning and then just letting them have lots of floor time for free play so that they can begin to learn how to move their arms and legs. Other ways to play, carrying or wearing them if you have a wrap to hold them in while you're doing things around the house, rocking them, singing songs to them, or playing music. And you can also start using simple rattle toys. And at this age, it'll be them mostly just kind of watching them. They can start tracking, things like that. And then massage is sometimes a good way as well. Favorite toys for this age, tummy time play mats are good, just gives them something to kind of look at, play with while they're on their belly, and then the mats that they can lay on their back and look at toys above them and things like that too. And then rattles can start being used for this age. So for 3 to 6 months, ways to play, again, lots of floor time, letting them have that time to learn how to move their arms and legs when they're laying on their back and belly. Books and foot rattles, so they can start recognizing their feet and reaching down towards their feet as well. Favorite toys, again, the play mat that they can lay on the floor. You can start introducing different textured toys like balls and things like that, rattles, mirrors, so they can begin looking at themselves. That one's good if they're on their belly as well. It might encourage them to kind of lift their head up and look at themselves in the mirror. Soft books and musical toys. For 6 to 12 months, again, lots of floor time, letting them play, putting their toys around them while they're laying down on their back or belly. And if they're starting to sit, sometimes a good place to put them is either in a box or a laundry basket with their toys around them. So that keeps them kind of safe and contained in one spot, and all their toys are within reach. And you don't have to worry quite as much about them losing their balance because they're supported behind them. Crawling at this age, you can practice crawling up and down inclines, crawling through tunnels. You can practice reaching for toys and sitting, rolling a ball, knocking down blocks, and reaching and bending for toys on different level surfaces. So between 6 and 12 months, a lot of babies start to try to pull the stand and things like that. So moving their toys up to a higher level is going to encourage them to get on their feet more instead of just doing the sitting and crawling. So if they are starting to try to pull the stand or even try to take some steps, lifting their toys up off the floor would be a good way to encourage them to be on their feet more. Favorite toys for this age would be balls, soft blocks, cars, tunnels to crawl through, touch and feel books, so some of those sensory books that have different textures that they can kind of play with, and then activity tables. For 12 to 18 months, ways to play, they may start imitating faces and movements and sounds, so you can start playing games that involve those things with them, putting objects in and out of containers, crawling and walking, on different surfaces, movement songs, and books. And again, if they're up and walking, putting those toys up on a coffee table or furniture is going to encourage them to be on their feet more than just continuing to crawl or sit on the floor. Favorite toys for this age, push toys, again, encouraging them to walk, stacking cups, building blocks, and tunnels. For 18 to 24 months, ways to play. A lot of times bubbles are a big hit at this age. So blowing bubbles, chasing bubbles, trying to catch the bubbles, things like that. Rocking and swinging, opening and closing containers or boxes. Small playgrounds become a lot of fun at this time because they're starting to want to climb on everything, and scribbling with crowns or finger paint as well. Favorite toys would be shape sorters, finger puppets, books with flaps that they can open and see what's hiding behind them, and then writing toys is usually a good thing to introduce closer to that 2-year mark as well. So now for the next few ages, we are kind of going to break them down a little differently. So we're going to go through like gross motor skills, fine motor skills, and social skills as well of how to incorporate play. So for the 1 to 2-year-olds, gross motor skills, with balance, you can try to start standing and walking on different surfaces just to challenge their balance a little bit more. For crawling, you can practice crawling over pillows, blankets, cushions. You can use building blocks to make a tower and practice knocking over, or even climbing over, or closer to the 2-year mark, they may start trying to jump over things. You can make obstacle courses for them, which could include things like jumping, climbing, stepping up or over things, walking on a balance beam, and even starting to negotiate stairs if you have stairs in your house. And then you can also make cleaning up a little bit of a game for them. So that will include them walking over to toys, squatting to bend them up. And then stairs would be another good one to start working on and playing with them on to learn that balance as well. So now I'm going to pass it on to Becki for the next few slides.
So we're talking about 1 to 2 year olds, fine motor skills, how to encourage that play at home, blocks. At this age, they're going to be stacking, making towers, can have them knock them down. We use the word put in activities, and that's just having them drop different items into a container. You can make it a little bit more difficult by cutting a hole or a slit in the lid of a plastic container, and they can put in blocks or craft sticks or even their favorite cars. Opening and closing is something good that you can do. And again, you can just use any containers that you have around the kitchen, just practicing that open and close, and also books that include flaps for opening and closing. Scribbling, drawing, and painting, you can use that, of course, with crayons, but also with their fingers and finger paint, or you can use cotton balls or cut cotton swabs in half and have them use their fingers to hold. If you don't want the mess of that, you can put shaving cream or finger paint or hair gel, colored hair gel, preferably in a Ziploc bag, and have them scribble on that. Playing with stickers is fun. You can have them put them on different parts of their body. You can kind of name and have them practice taking them off. Water play is fun in the bathtub or outside. You can use squirt bottles or the squirters that you can squeeze and squirt water out. And then simple chores, again, just practicing cleaning up, putting things in. You can even have them practice wiping and helping with those simple activities. For sensory play for 1 to 2 years, they'll should be starting to help feed themselves. And so allowing them to feed themselves, they're getting to touch the food, and especially when they're starting to use the spoon as well. A lot of the kids that we see here have difficulty with bedtime routine. And so a way with to incorporate sensory is just having that routine where you may be providing some calming activities, which would be just snuggling up like a bear hug, rocking in a rocking chair, using dim lights when you're reading a book, also using white noise or a fan for that calming auditory input. Musical instruments are another good sensory activity for this age group. You can make your own. You can use dry beans or rice in plastic containers and make shakers, or you can have them pretend and make drums and hitting different pots and pans or anything that you have laying around the house. Sand play is another good sensory activity. You can practice dumping, scooping, pouring. You can even wet the sand, which gives it a different texture and feeling. Pushing and pulling. And so that's just, you can put things in like a laundry basket or in a stroller or a wagon and have them practice pulling and pushing. They may be more interested in swinging, and I say crashing. And so that's jumping and crashing onto a soft surface. You want to use like pillows, bean bags, cushions, and again with supervision for that. Ways to incorporate play, and we're thinking about it from a social or communication standpoint. You want to praise the process that they're doing. You want to talk through that, not just the results. You're going to start practice with turn-taking games. Establishing a routine and transitions is important. Toddlers feel safe and confident when they know what to expect. You want to practice following directions, listening skills, and at this age, they should be imitating some sounds and words. So the next, we're going to level that we're looking at is the preschool 2 to 3 years old. And so some different things that you might use to play with this age group, again, stickers, tactile bins. That's just taking a container, a plastic container, and you can put rice or dry beans, even water beads in it. You can have them practice pulling those things out. Stringing large beads, chasing games, again, pushing and pulling wagons, movement songs, starting to snip with scissors. So you can use small scissors for that. Coloring, drawing, writing toys. Some of our favorite toys that we use are the squigs, Play-Doh, scooter boards, puzzles, crayons, bean bags, trampolines, water wow. That's a little marker that has water in it. And when you color the picture, it makes colors. Just kind of fun for this age. So we'll talk about specifically those fine motor play skills. I use the word pre-clothing practice, but that just means on those plastic containers, you can cut a slit in it and they can just practice putting buttons or coins in a slot. So that's just that precursor to buttoning skills. Again, with scissors at this age, you're just going to look at snipping. You can use a long, narrow strip of paper, usually a little bit thicker is helpful. And they're just going to make like one cut and they can watch the paper fall. Pre-writing, you're going to be just doing like up and down lines or side to side circles, later on crosses. And you can use stickers, you can use their fingers, again, with in a Ziploc bag with gel or something in there, or just crayons. The squirters and spray bottles are good for hand strength. And again, that's just any kind of squeeze motion works on those hand muscles. Play-Doh as well. With Play-Doh, you can also work on imitation. So you can make a design and have them make it. String and beads, larger beads typically are a little bit easier and a thicker string is easier. A lot of times we'll even start with a pipe cleaner or those Chanel stems to put on first. Puzzles, sorting, they should be starting to do some sorting at this age with colors and objects. And vertical play, I like to do the painting and coloring and things on a wall. I'll take something to the wall, or if you have an easel available. For sensory play with this age, they should start playing with more messy things. You can do shaving cream, finger paint, pudding even. Tactile bins I talked about a minute ago. You can use Play-Doh and you can scent it with essential oils, or you can use scented markers. And then they should be a little bit more active in the playgrounds, sliding, swinging, jumping, spinning, things like that. Incorporating social play at this age. They should start to express or explore feelings through play. So you can be playing and kind of modeling, oh, he looks sad or he looks mad. You want to make sure they have opportunities for unstructured play. They should be starting to engage in some pretend play and starting to initiate play with others. And then you should be hearing some phrases to participate and play in daily routines. And Ashley is going to talk about gross motor skills.
Okay, so for these 2 to 3 year olds, some gross motor skills and ways to incorporate play would be jumping. So around 2 is when they typically get good at jumping. So they may start jumping down from small surfaces, jumping off things, trying to jump over lines or other toys. Riding toys, like I mentioned before, definitely probably more of a hit at this time. Usually a trike happens around 3. So in that second year when they're 2, the riding toys where their feet are just on the ground and they push themselves forward that way is kind of like the precursor to the trike. Animal walking, so bear walking, hopping like a bunny, crab walking, those can all be really fun. Balance practice, so walking on a balance beam or putting some tape on the floor and trying to walk forward on that with one foot in front of the other. can be good. Sometimes I tell parents to their kids try walking on a curb outside. It can kind of act as a balance beam for them. And then ball play, rolling, kicking, throwing, and then playing with bubbles. Again, big hit at this age, chase them, stomp them, try to catch them, and things like that. So our next group is going to be the preschool age, so 3 to 5 years. Ways to play. They love sorting things, typically playing things like I Spy, doing the animal walks again. Obstacle courses become more fun. Sometimes you can turn chores into a way to play. Drawing pictures, cutting with scissors, pretend play, and dressing up. The toys that we like for this age are trampolines. Typically, kids around this age love to jump on the trampolines using a balance bike, or you can introduce a tricycle around age 3, walking on a balance beam, tweezers and tongs, again, to work on that hand strength that Becky's been talking about. An easel just to get stuff more upright for them. Crayons and markers, blocks and Legos, the magnetic tiles, Velcro, cutting food, the penguin poppers. They're little animals that their mouth is open and you can put a ball in there, and when you squeeze it, the ball pops out. So a lot of kids find those really fun. Crash pads and board games. Some good board games we like for this age are Spot It, Don't Break the Ice, Connect 4, Apples to Apples. There's junior versions for those games and a lot of other ones out there too. So as far as gross motor skills for this age and ways to incorporate play, again, ball skills are a lot of fun, throwing, catching, kicking. The trike riding after they're 3 is when they typically are coordinated enough to kind of try that. Running and tag, so they're more interested in playing with their friends and chasing each other and just running around. Jumping practice, jumping off of things, over things. They may begin to start hopping on one foot after age 3, so they may be doing more of that. And then group and cooperative games, again, just more interested in playing with others. And then Becky's going to talk about fine motor.
So for 3 to 5 year olds, fine motor skills, it's just a continuation of what we were doing with the earlier ages. Clothespins are good, and clips, the chip clips that you can buy, because that works again on that hand strength and fingers. Cutting skills should be progressing from just snipping paper to cutting on lines, and toward the end of this age group, they should be cutting out shapes. Using, again, tongs and tweezers are good for those small muscles of their hands. And then early writing, you progress from just doing lines to starting to copy shapes, and then later still starting to do some letters. Sensory play at this age, you can make some visual sensory bottles. You just take a clear, you can use a clear water bottle. You can fill it with dry objects like rice or beans. You can even hide like a small little toy in there, so then when they turn it, they try to find it. Or you can use wet objects like water, oil, and food coloring, and that's fun too. You can make your own sensory balls. You can use balloons. You can use some of those same ingredients, just dry beans or rice. You can use water beads also, or sand, and tie that off, and that makes a nice little squishy. Sensory snacks are another way to incorporate sensory play at this age. You can introduce snacks that have different taste, sour, sweet, salty, different textures like crunchy or smooth or chewy, and different temperatures. And then I just put movement breaks. That's just, again, doing kind of songs and dancing. Go Noodle is one that some of the preschools use, that you can pull up and have them look at and imitate some of the movements that they're seeing. For this age group, social play, they start doing more role plays with familiar events. So they may be pretending to be a fireman, or pretending to act out characters of their favorite TV shows or movies. They start projecting their feelings onto other toys or characters. So they may be saying the baby is sad. They may pretend an object is something else. like using a pool noodle to pretend like it's a scuba diving something. And then they should be speaking in more complete sentences, simple but complete sentences at this age. So I'm going to talk for just a few minutes about some toys that you can make at home. This is kind of repeating some of the information that we talked about in the beginning, but put in tasks in particular are ones that we use a lot here. For some reason, it just seems to be calming for a lot of kids, just that repetitive behavior of just putting something in. You can use any kind of manipulatives that you have at home. You can use blocks, coins, pom-poms, plastic animals, and you can use any kind of container either. Or also you can use sour cream, yogurt containers, any of those plastic containers. You can also use like the ketchup bottles or the grape jelly that just has the squeeze bottle that just has the little slit, plastic piggy banks, or even the grated Parmesan cheese containers are good for putting in different things. Some of the kids that we work with here are a little more rigid when it comes to play. And so with this put in activities, you can work on turn taking. You can also try to vary what they want to do. And so you can use different kinds of containers, or you can vary what you put in, or you can have them put, if they really, really like toys, then you can have them, or toy cars, you can have them put the cars into the containers. Obstacle courses, again, Ashley's been talking about that, but this is really easy to do at home as well. You can have them stepping up, stepping over, jumping, hopping. You can have them climbing through something, walking on uneven surfaces, or any kind of balance activities. Works really well. The next few slides are actually a handout that I often utilize with families, and I just want to use that to show just the developmental secrets. If you have, hopefully you have some of these toys at home, and to just think about, okay, like books, for instance. And so with babies, books, they're usually just going to put them straight in their mouth, or they're going to crinkle them. They're going to make noise with them. As they get older, with closer to 1-year-old, they're going to be able to turn the pages in the thick books, and older still, you would expect them to turn pages just in a regular book. And then when they get closer to 2- and 3-year-olds, you're going to talk about what they're seeing in the picture. So you may be able to say, find the duck, or what does the duck say? Point to something blue. So that's kind of how you use it through the different stages. And you can kind of look at these. Balls are another thing you can do in the beginning. With a baby, they're just going to maybe look at the ball, or maybe you can move it to side. They're going to be able to move their head. And then later on, they're going to be able to hold a ball and throw it overhanded. And then later still, they're going to be able to throw and catch a ball. Large peg puzzles, we like puzzles a lot. And so in the beginning, they may just be able to take out the pegs, or actually they'll just maybe put their finger in the spot for where the peg's supposed to go. But then they'll take them out, and then they may start putting in the large pegs into the where they belong. Later still, they may be able to do puzzles that have multiple pieces, and then be able to sort with colors and sort with shapes with that. All of these slides that we've been talking about right now, we will have access to those, or if you want to contact us, we can email those, and that way you can kind of look at them and take the time and be able to read through those a little bit more quickly. Next, we're going to show you some of our favorite toys. We've kind of been talking about this through the talk today, but we just want to show you what we're talking about. Sometimes it's hard to visualize that. And so when I talk about the put in toys in particular. And I keep talking about making things. And so this is a infant formula can, and we cut a slit in the top of it. And so it depends on the age of your kid or kind of where their level is. Of course, the bigger the slot, the easier it is. And so we have just these kind of blocks, these bristle blocks to put in. And so all they're doing is putting them into the slot there. And I was talking about the smaller, like a ketchup container or something. So this is one that's just got holes. And these are thick straws that we use. So then you're just looking at just a different kind of pincer grasp to be able to put those in. When I was talking about the Parmesan cheese cans, that's what I like a lot. And you can use pom-poms for a bigger round hole. That works really well. I really love them. Show you. Y'all probably already know what squigs are, but this is the squigs. You can see they stick on surfaces, and then you can practice pulling them off. That was really hard. And you can sort by colors, or they can stack them up, make a train. There's different sizes. These are the large ones, but there's smaller ones as well with that. Hot Toots is a sensory toy that we use. We like. Toots makes noise. So you can use them just for that, how they're intended, or you can drop things down in them, or like sometimes we use them to like pretend play with that, like they're like a telescope. We were talking about the pop toys a minute ago with the balls. This one doesn't have the ball in it, but this is a good fun toy that when they squeeze, the ball kind of shoots across the room, or it also kind of looks like the ones that you would use in the bathtub too, the water squirters, where you suck up the water and they squirt, and play with that. I wanted to show you knobs puzzles, and I wanted to show you this too. A parent actually here that I was working with showed me this trick, which I thought was neat. Look, I'm holding it up and they're not falling out. Well, we put Velcro in, and so that's kind of a neat thing that you can do if you need that with your child, where it kind of helps to be able to hold, and it also helps for cleanup, and that way you're not losing pieces. So that works well. But this is just a knob, large knob puzzles. And then they have small ones as well. They're matching with the design underneath. Some we have that have noise or auditory, so that makes the noise. It might make a cow sound when we put it on there. Show you this. This is we have a lot of wooden puzzles that are really sturdy, or wooden toys that are really nice. And this is one where we pretend some food things. We can cut different kind of fruits and vegetables. And then this is our pig that everybody seems to love. This is another really a put-in toy. You're putting the coins in, but it also makes noise when you do that. So hopefully this has been helpful for you guys to be able to use some things that you have at home, or maybe introduce some new toys to your kids. And please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.